All right, we back at it again. Adrien Broner gets called out by Virgil Ortiz, the up-and-coming 147-pound fighter out of Golden Boy Promotions and one of the best prospects in all of boxing. He says that he's interested in a fight with Adrien Broner. Adrien Broner says that he's interested in a fight with anybody that they're willing to pay him $10 million to fight. Let's see if peanut butter and chocolate makes Reese's cups in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Adrien Broner and Virgil Ortiz. Adrien Broner is a former multiple division champion, very well-known fighter, fights currently between the 100 and 147 pound divisions, but is a guy I think a lot of people would agree and say that, you know, his best days are behind him and his best days were probably with him when he's around 135 pounds. And Virgil Ortiz is a young 147 pound fighter out of Texas. I don't think he's much older than 21, 22 years old, but right around that same weight class as these other up and coming fighters that are really starting to come to the forefront in boxing, like Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. He's in that group. Jaron Ennis as well. I shouldn't say as well for Jaron Ennis. I think Jaron Ennis, although he's not had the high profile fights a lot of these guys have, I think he definitely belongs in that conversation. Ryan Garcia as well. So Virgil Ortiz, like the other guys that I mentioned, is trying to get his name out into the forefront of the boxing world. So smart thing for him to do is try to get a fight with a guy that already has a solid reputation and is known in the boxing world. And that is Adrien the Problem Broner. Now, the way that he did it, man, first let me talk a little bit about Virgil Ortiz and the fact I think it's a good move for Virgil Ortiz. Asking for the fight is a good move, and if he could get the fight would be a great move. So Virgil Ortiz and Adrien Broner actually have some background together, and it led into, you know, I think it was a Twitter feed that came out about it, and showed a picture of Adrien Broner and Virgil Ortiz when Virgil Ortiz was obviously a lot younger, and Adrien Broner, and so was Adrien Broner, because you could see just the style of the picture. But it's interesting because Virgil Ortiz tried to get a picture with Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson ignored him. And after Mike Tyson ignored him, Adrien Broner was there, and he pulled the two kids to the side and took a picture with Virgil Ortiz and a friend who I do believe who is also a boxer. I wasn't familiar with the name, but if you go check out the picture, you'll see it. So there's that background between Virgil Ortiz and Adrien Broner. And I know that this is something that has been said about a lot of younger fighters about the relationship that Adrien Broner has with some of the younger fighters, man. And he has a really good reputation for being a nice guy and helping young fighters out. Now, when they took this picture, these guys were not, Virgil Ortiz and the guy that he was with were not near the, professional fighting, the age of fighting professionally. They were definitely amateurs, looked like little kids, had little school glasses on and everything, Virgil Ortiz. But anyway, good relationship between the two of those guys. And a good call out for Virgil Ortiz. Now, as far as like the fight itself, Virgil Ortiz is, this thing could go either way, really, because you have Virgil Ortiz, who is, I think, clearly one of the most talented up-and-coming welterweights and one of the best up-and-coming welterweights. Whenever I say Virgil Ortiz or I talk about Jaron Ennis, I make sure that I mention both of these guys because I think that they're both, that level of fighter. Even though I think that Jaron Ennis might have a little bit more upside because I think his fighting style is a little more varied than Virgil Ortiz, but both of these guys are excellent fights. Virgil Ortiz is a very long, strong, fast, aggressive, very, very aggressive fighter. And if both Adrien Broner and Virgil Ortiz were both in their prime, then I would pick Virgil Ortiz to beat Adrien Broner. In a year, for certain I would take Virgil Ortiz to beat Adrien Broner. As of right now, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure if he would be able to pull that off. Everything that I see that the guys do in the ring tells me that. But the problem that I have with it is the experience issue. Like, so I know, for example, when I put this video out, there's going to be a lot of people in the comment section that are going to tell me, no, Virgil Ortiz is too strong. He's too fast. He's too busy. Adrien Broner doesn't let his hands go. So, this should be a walk in the park for Virgil Ortiz. But I'm not so sure about that, man, because Virgil Ortiz, he has all of those things, but one thing that he really does miss is it misses the experience that Adrien Broner has. Right now, people say that Adrien Broner, because Adrien Broner's lost 4 fights in his career: Marcus Maidana, Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, and Manny Pacquiao. All of those fighters that beat Adrien Broner were seasoned were big fighters. And obviously Virgil Ortiz fits that, part of the equation, but they're very experienced fighters. And none of those guys were able to get Adrien Broner out of there. And a few of them, I think, like Manny Pacquiao, I thought that even though I definitely believe Manny Pacquiao won that fight because Manny Pacquiao was showing a lot of, had a lot of volume. But I think Adrien Broner showed himself pretty decently in that fight, man. He did a lot better than I thought he was going to do, because I truthfully thought he was going to get bowled over by Manny Pacquiao. But he had the ability to fight in different ways. He moved his feet significantly more than he usually does. And I think that it was, in a lot of ways, for Manny Pacquiao, a more difficult fight with Adrien Broner than it was with Keith Thurman. Now, Keith Thurman laid bigger shots on Manny Pacquiao than Adrien Broner did, because, Keith Thurman is going to stand there and try to hit you with something big. He will let his hands go in the middle of, punches coming. And you're not just going to just strictly out busy Keith Thurman, where you can do that with Adrien Broner. But all of those things, the fact that he was able to drop Sean Porter, the fact even against Marcus Maidana, I thought he won like the latter portion of the fight with Marcus Maidana. I got to go back and look at that fight again. But because obviously it's been years, but that was my recollection of it, is that Marcus Maidana started off very strong, fast. He was a lot bigger than Manny Pacquiao. Bigger than Adrien Broner, but eventually Adrien Broner got more of his bearings together and was able to put up a more respectable fight in the second half. I say all that to say that the dude is Adrien Broner is not easy money. Now, and so for Virgil Ortiz at that young age to go after a guy that is that experience, it's dangerous, man. You could, even if he didn't win, he could wind up looking bad in it. He could wind up getting dropped in it. Anything could happen in there when you're fighting a guy with that much experience. And if you took Adrien Broner's name off of it and you just thought of Adrien Broner as, this guy is you considered him a journeyman or something like that, instead of a guy who has a really big name, and you looked at the way that he fights and the way and his pedigree, that's going to be a difficult fight. First of all, it's going to be a difficult fight for anybody. Nobody's just had a breeze with Adrien Broner. But for Virgil Ortiz, it might be a scenario where he winds up getting upset. You know what I mean? And he either looks bad or he takes a loss early in his career that those guys aren't going to want to take place. Now, as far as the potential for this fight actually happening, that's pretty much slim and none, because of the promotional issues that you have in the fight. One guy, Virgil Ortiz, is represented by Golden Boy Promotions, and the other one, Adrien Broner, is a PBC fighter. And somebody had have to tell me the last time a Golden Boy fighter fought a PBC fighter. There really is very bad blood between the PBC and Golden Boy. There's difficulty with working relationship between Top Rank and PBC, but I think that relationship is easier. They're easier for them to work together because Bob Arum is, you know, he's about the money, and he's not going to, if you can set up a scenario where he can make some money, he'll set some stuff to the side, and it won't make it necessarily a personal grudge. He seems to be more about the money. Oscar De La Hoya on the other side seems to be very, very petty and very personally tied up with the fact that, you know, he lost a lot of fighters and his company took a really, really big hit against the PBC. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think about Virgil Ortiz and Adrien Broner, and let me know in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for all your support, and I'll check you out on the next video. Peace.